In the heart of an ancient village, beneath towering mountains, lived a young woman named Ifeoma. Her heart was full of dreams, but her body bore the weight of every whisper and cruel laugh that followed her every step. Ifeoma wasn't just a girl who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. She carried the weight of her village's scorn. Ifeoma had grown up with hopes like any other, but her body, large and heavy by the village's standards, had turned her into a target of endless ridicule. No one understood her struggles, and Adekunle, the man she once believed would stand by her, was the cruelest of them all. From the time Ifeoma was a little girl, the villagers found reasons to mock her. Even the market women, as they sold their wares, would make snide remarks when Ifeoma passed by. Hey, Ifeoma, are you sure all this yam is not for you? One would cackle, while the others burst into laughter. Children, too, were merciless. As Ifeoma fetched water from the village stream, they would call out, "The stream will run dry if you drink it all." The sting of those words followed her everywhere, and her heart ached with every step. She could never escape the biting remarks. But nothing hurt more than the betrayal of her friends, Ugonna, Ebeli, and Chidinma. Once, when Ifeoma joined them for a meal at Ugonna's home, she noticed them exchanging glances and whispering. It wasn't long before Ugonna let out a sharp laugh. "Ifeoma, maybe you should sit farther from the food. We're afraid there won't be anything left for us." Ebele snorted, trying to hold back laughter, while Chidinma merely looked away. Ifeoma's chest tightened, but she forced a smile, pretending she wasn't hurt. She didn't know that her own friend, Chidinma, would become part of her heartbreak later. One day, as Ifeoma walked through the village square carrying a basket of fruit, she heard their voices behind her. "Chukwe, look at that fat pig dragging herself through the square." Ameka sneered, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "More like a smelling pig," Chukwebuka added with a cruel laugh. "Who would ever want her?" Ifeoma's face burned with shame, but she kept walking, pretending their words hadn't cut deep. But inside she felt broken. Adekunle stood by, offering no defense, only watching in silence. And that silence hurt more than the words. But the worst moment came when Ifeoma overheard Adekunle speaking to Ameka and Chukwuebuka at a village festival. The air was filled with the scent of roasted yams and dancing drums. But Ifeoma felt like the world had stopped when Adekunle said it. "Honestly, I can't be with someone like Ifeoma. She's too fat," he muttered under his breath, but loud enough for Ifeoma to hear from where she stood, hidden behind a tree. "Fat!" Ameka laughed. "My brother, you're kind. That girl is an elephant." Chukwebuka chimed in. "Ifeoma? Nah, Chidinma is far better. Slim, beautiful. I'd choose her over Ifeoma any day." Adekunle didn't hesitate. "That's the truth. I would choose Chidinma over Ifeoma too." The word struck Ifeoma like a blow to her chest. Her own friend, Chidinma, had unknowingly become the symbol of everything Ifeoma wished she could be. And her Adekunle, had made it clear that she would never be enough for him. The pain of that betrayal, the shame of every cruel word, and the constant mockery became the fuel for Ifeoma's transformation. Ifeoma was no longer going to be the victim of the village's taunts or Adekunle's rejection. Her first step was visiting Chiamaka, the wise elder. She asked for guidance, not just in body, but in spirit. Ifeoma, Chiamaka said, your journey is not for them, it is for you. They may have called you names, but only you have the power to change your destiny. And change she did. Day after day, Ifeoma rose before the sun, running through the forests and climbing the steep hills. The trees whispered encouragement as she passed, and the mountains gave her strength. Her body began to change, but what changed most of all was her mind. Every step she took was a step away from the hurtful words of her past. The villagers still gossiped behind her back, but Ifeoma no longer listened. Even Ugonna, Ebele, and Chidinma tried to draw her into their teasing conversations, but Ifeoma's focus was unwavering. By the time Ifeoma returned to the village months later, she was unrecognizable. Her once soft body had hardened with muscle. Her steps were lighter, her smile brighter, and her eyes, they no longer carried the weight of others' opinions. As Ifeoma walked through the village square, the same villagers who had once called her names stared in disbelief. Some whispered in awe, while others tried to make sense of the transformation. The market women, once cruel with their taunts, now muttered, is that Ifeoma? Surely not. Look at her now. And then there was Adekunle. He stood with his friends Ameka and Chukwebuka, but this time he couldn't tear his eyes away from her. The woman he had once ridiculed now stood before him as a vision of strength and beauty. Ifeoma, Adekunle stammered as he approached her. His friends, too stunned to speak, hung back in awkward silence. Yes, Adekunle, it's me, she replied, her voice steady, her gaze unwavering. Adekunle swallowed, clearly regretting his past words. I I didn't realize you could look like this, he said, the shock still evident on his face. But Ifeoma no longer sought his approval. She had become more than the insults thrown at her, more than the shame they tried to place on her shoulders. She was a woman who had risen above it all. I was always this person, Adekunle, she said, her voice calm but firm. You just didn't see it. And with that, Ifeoma walked away, leaving Adekunle, Ameka, and Chukwebuka in stunned silence, their cruel words now haunting them as they realized what they had lost. Days after her return to the village, Adekunle sought out Ifeoma, unable to get her image out of his mind. He found her by the stream, where they had once shared memories, back when Ifeoma had dreamed of a future with him. But now it was different. She was different. Ifeoma, can we talk? Adekunle asked, his voice hesitant. There was none of the arrogance or pride that once defined him. Talk? Ifeoma raised an eyebrow, her tone calm but firm. What is there to talk about, Adekunle? He shifted uncomfortably. I I made mistakes. I see that now. You've changed so much. I didn't realize how strong you were, how beautiful. But Ifeoma didn't waver. She looked at him with a clarity that only comes from self-knowledge. The mistake wasn't just in how you treated me, Adekunle. The mistake was that you judged my worth based on things that were temporary, my body, my appearance, but you never saw who I really was. Adekunle sighed, regret washing over him. I see it now, Ifeoma. I was wrong. I want another chance to make things right. Please. But Ifeoma, with her heart now whole, shook her head gently. I no longer need your approval, Adekunle. I found something greater than your acceptance. I found myself. Her words were final, not filled with anger or resentment, but with the kind of wisdom that comes from rising above pain. As Ifeoma walked away from Adekunle that day, she felt lighter than she had ever felt before. The weight of the village's scorn, Adekunle's rejection, and even the betrayal of her friends no longer held power over her. She was free, free to live the life she wanted, without needing the validation of anyone else. Her friends Ugonna, Ebele, and Chidinma watched from a distance, whispering among themselves. But Ifeoma no longer cared about their opinions. She had discovered a strength that was hers alone, a strength that could not be shaken by the shallow judgments of others. In time, the village began to see Ifeoma not as the girl they once mocked, but as a woman of great wisdom and resilience. Her transformation had inspired others, and the same people who had once ridiculed her now sought her advice. Even Chiamaka, the village elder, watched with pride as Ifeoma became a beacon of hope for many who struggled with self worth. Ifeoma's journey was not just one of physical transformation, it was a story of deep emotional and spiritual growth. The villagers, Adekunle, and even her friends had judged her based on fleeting external things, never understanding that true strength comes from within. In life, we may face cruelty, judgment, and rejection from those around us. But just as Ifeoma found, the most important journey is the one we take within ourselves, the journey to self love, self worth, and resilience. The world may not always see our value right away, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Ifeoma's story teaches us that our worth is not determined by the opinions of others. It is determined by the love and respect we have for ourselves. When we choose to rise above the voices that seek to bring us down, when we learn to walk with confidence in who we are, we become unstoppable. Ifeoma's story is a powerful tale of strength, redemption, and self discovery. If you've ever felt like the world has tried to dim your light, remember Ifeoma's journey. Remember that your worth is not determined by your appearance, by what others say, or even by your past mistakes. Your worth lies in the heart that beats within you, in the resilience you carry, and in the love you give yourself. If the story has touched your heart or inspired you in any way, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share your thoughts, share your journey, and remember, you are stronger than you know. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay strong, stay true to yourself, and always remember you are enough.